Hi everyone, my name is Sarah, Weight Watcher Cape Cod Woman and Pearls of Wisdom and Food on Facebook. And there's been some really great dialogue going on the Facebook page this week, and I'm loving it. People with a little bit more curiosity about the high-fat, low-carb plan. And Melinda asked the most logical question, and it's going to be great because she said, could you please tell me the difference or the comparison of the Wheat Belly diet versus the Bulletproof diet? Happy to help. So, with the Wheat Belly diet by Dr. William Davis, and you can also find more information about the dangerous effects of wheat, not only from his book and his later arrival, Total Health, but Dr. Pearl Mutter and Dr. Tom O'Bryan, Bryan, also did a lot of work around the wheat issue. And Melinda and others, what happens is that there are steps to get to the high fat. It is not a one day, the standard American diet, also known as the Western diet, also known as the SAD diet, to high fat, low carb. It is a process of elimination. And in this process of elimination, you will see what your body was craving. And sometimes those cravings are what you are allergic to. And for most of us, we are allergic to wheat. Some of us can tolerate it better, but our tummies really don't have never really adapted to digesting wheat for the last 2,000 years. And 50 years ago, in the 1950s, it changed drastically, where they did some biohacking to it. And although it's not a GMO hacking, they just totally changed how it is. And now we have the dwarf wheat that grows a zillion times faster, does more damage to your gut lining. And when the gut lining gets compromised, then we have leaky gut. And when we have leaky gut, it sounds exactly like what it does. It goes into your system. And anyway, it's not pretty. And by the time you get to be my age, you could have some serious chronic diseases that you will have to adhere to the treatment for, or constantly be in pain. But I digress because my name is Sarah and I always digress. So with the steps, at least, I'll talk about what I did. Wheat is my Achilles heel. Sugar is something that I have to watch, but it's not like the wheat was for me. So when I began to segue from my Weight Watcher plan, which had lots of wheat and not added sugar, but items with added sugar to them, like flavored yogurts, protein bars, Weight Watcher novelty snacks, things like that. So I've got the sugar, I've got the wheat, and I knew that the sugar wouldn't be as tough for me. Now, like for some people, it could also be salt. So sugar, salt, and fat, and wheat. So the sugar part was the easiest one to become aware of, and I switched from the flavored yogurts to the fat-free plain yogurts, adding fruit to them, probably that. And I still was having 5 to 7 fruits a day with my Weight Watchers program because fruits were free. So that wasn't, I wasn't noticing how I felt because I felt great having all of my fruits. And so maybe that wasn't keeping my, from here down clean, from my throat down clean. But it sure made me feel good, and I was grazing. I was having something every hour or two because that's what the wheat did to my stomach. It emptied out real fast. My digestion went after the wheat, and, for years and years and years, I would have Trader Joe's high-fiber cereal with a mixture of puffed wheat and kashi cereal added to it, a banana, and almond milk. And that would be my standard breakfast. I never deviated. I never got sick of it. It's kind of like me with my salads. Although I took a month off from salads, there I go, digressing again. So for me, Melinda, and others wondering about wheat belly to high fat, first I attacked the sugar because it wasn't something that I was craving as much as physically addicted to the wheat. So that took about a month because I was working on, number one, the awareness, and I was still tracking using the Weight Watcher tracker, my points, which were 26, so I was still paying attention to that. And then came the big one, the wheat. And I was listening to the Wheat Belly podcasts, and then those would lead me into other podcasts of wheat, wheat addiction, as well as wheat withdrawal. There will be a hangover, a withdrawal from wheat, because wheat goes right to your opioid receptors, just like opiates do. It's true. Your brain will light up with sugar and wheat, and so wheat turns to sugar, turns to fat. Sugar turns to fat inside your body, just so you know. So then came the wheat part, and first was the elimination of the breakfast cereal. And Melinda, I had dozens of boxes because I had the bad lady syndrome about cereal. And so I would buy, if Kashi was on sale, 4 for $12, must buy 4. Oh, sure. Did I already have 12 boxes here? Yes, I did. And those boxes, I was only putting like a third of a cup onto the Trader Joe's high fiber cereal. So I had enough boxes to last me probably 20 years, well past the expiration date. So there was so much emotional work that I had to do, along with the physical work of slowly giving up the wheat, just becoming aware that it had to go, then and then slowly letting it go, while hoarding, hanging on to the boxes of cereal. And then, what's my alternative to this? Well, I switched to gluten-free Bob's Red Mill, I think it is, gluten-free hot and tasty cereal, and that was gluten-free. And then I switched to steel-cut oats, which for the most part are gluten-free. And so I would have those, and so that lasted for a while, and I'd mix it with eggs. Now here's the deal, Melinda and others. You can't have your feet honoring both masters. You can't begin to want to be fat adapted while you're still burning glucose, meaning sugar, and the wheat turning to sugar in your body, because that ends up being the standard American diet, and you will gain weight. So I knew that I wanted to be fat adapted. And so I knew that that involved more olive oil, more coconut oil, avocado, nuts, and high fat, the whole egg, none of the egg whites anymore, full fat cheese, full fat yogurt, and things like that. Now, I am not dairy intolerant, so I'm lucky. Some people are. There's a doctor that has the elimination diet, and he calls for giving up things like eggs for 3 weeks before you have another one. He actually says to go 60 or 90 days, giving up all dairy, 60 to 90 days, reintroducing it into your system, and so forth. Okay, that's another layer of this maze of what do I do next. My suggestion is, if you've got salt or sugar and wheat and processed foods as what you might find out is an addiction, or at least your body craves, I would work on the easiest one first. It's kind of like when you have credit card debt, and Susie Orman and other money gurus said attack the least owed one first. So with your attack on what you are eating in the standard American diet before you switch to fat adapted, I would work on giving up the salt or the processed or the added sugar first. or the wheat, whichever one is more of your kryptonite. And it won't hurt as much as the kryptonite. For me, the kryptonite was the wheat. I would continue to just devour anything on the dangers of wheat, the dangers of all grains, because then after you've given up the wheat, there is still the gluten issue, that the gluten-free grains that could spike your blood sugar, and you could be introducing a new problem into your system because the non-wheat, the gluten-free wheat giving up and introducing the other gluten-free grains will spike your blood sugar higher than the wheat did. But the wheat does more damage to your gut by permeating your gut lining. And all of the good, healthy bacteria in your body conflict with the wheat. Okay, am I confusing you enough? So, say you have the same issues as me. Salt wasn't a problem. In fact, now I use the Himalayan pink salt because it has the most minerals in it that can't be found elsewhere, which is like totally amazing to me. If you told me that I would be having Himalayan pink salt and grass-fed butter on my veggies, I would say, you're nuts. You are nuts. Okay? So, for me, it was the added sugar that I gave up first. Salt wasn't an issue. I wasn't a salt user. So it was the added sugar, and then I found Zyla to put in my coffee because I still like my coffee my way, thank you very much, and it is bulletproof. But I'm fat adapted, okay? So, in the going slow, first, for me, it was the added sugar. Then it was finding Zyla so I could add that to my coffee. Then it was switching up all of these yogurts, these flavored yogurts that I would devour, and having on them, you know, things like granola, having 5 to 7 fruits, even though it's not added sugar with the 5 to 7 fruits. I had to slowly become aware that, oh, maybe I shouldn't have 5 to 7. I was still having 4 to 5. You know, it is a slow baby step way. And then came the big one, my 500-pound, gorilla, the wheat. And so I gave it up. And for my support group, as it were, I was listening to the podcasts of the Wheat Belly and just being supported and bolstered and confirmed that this was the way for me to go. And then when I would be listening to William Davis, he would say things, or Dr. Perlmutter, they would say things like, or Dr. Stephen Finney, they would say things like, and then what, right? So with any of the wheat-free, gluten-free authors, doctors, podcasts, books, articles, it is the giving up of the wheat. And then, of course, you've got the then what. And then along comes people like Dave Asprey with the Bulletproof Diet. Then comes Abel James, the fat-burning man. And then if you're like me, listening to a podcast, below you will see dozens of doctors that promote the high-fat, low-carb programs. They will have books to go with it. Even Dr. Hyman is coming out with a healthy fat book in February. And so all of those things will come up. And as you begin to get deeper and dig a little bit deeper into your recovery from the standard American diet to fat adapted, you will see that all of us did baby steps. Some did vegan, some did vegetarian, some segued from wheat into the fat adapted program. There is a wonderful, wonderful woman named Leanne, who has a podcast and Facebook, and it is Healthy Pursuit. She's absolutely adorable. Leanne, Healthy Pursuit. If you go onto YouTube and look for Healthy Pursuit, it will pull up dozens of her videos. She is fat adapted. She was a vegan for many, many years. You will find the paleo crowd and the Mediterranean diet crowd have lots of healthy fats in their diet. I am the most like Abel James, who is the fat-burning man, because he has meats and veggies and lots of healthy oils and dairy. The Bulletproof by Dave Asprey does not have dairy. It has grass-fed butter, but that doesn't trigger the same things as any other dairy product would in your body. So, I'm into 15 minutes of this. I hope this explains some. I can always dive more, but for now, it was the difference between wheat and being fat adapted with the Bulletproof plan. So, first are the baby steps of the sugar, salt, fat, and processed. That is a glucose burning diet, that is standard American diet, that is Western diet, that is very sad. And then it's moving on to the fat adapted, which means no wheat, no processed foods, no added sugars, and salt is okay if it's Himalayan or sea salt. So I can delve further into this. Then there is the Bulletproof coffee, which is a breakfast versus having a breakfast. For women, we probably can't do the intermittent fasting as long as a man, but I have no carbs unless it's an omelet with like broccoli or peppers before noon. And I have my Bulletproof coffee between 3 and 4 in the morning. And then sometimes it's 8 a.m., sometimes it's 10 a.m., and sometimes it's noon when I have my first meal, which is a high-fat, low-carb choice. Eggs, full-fat cheese, full-fat yogurt, coconut oil always added to the yogurt, and then the berries. And I have organic berries once a day, no other fruits. I could add a second fruit at some point, but I'm not right now. And then comes lunch and dinner, which is a whole other topic. But that's how it goes. So it's baby steps, Melinda. You can always ask more questions. This is what gives me my juju when somebody wants to do it and they don't know the steps. So I hope my personal journey helps you with your choices and you have a better understanding. But for me, it's listening to these podcasts every single day that adds another layer to what I do, what I believe, and what I can tell you here. So all of you, thanks for watching. This is Sarah. Until the next time, bye-bye for now.